cool stuff to talk about today. So Rivian, they just released their Night Rider mode, so you can turn your Rivian into K.I.T.T. The original
That's
self-driving car, man. Look. So it's got the scanner, the dashboard, everything.
cool.
How cool is that?
Are you sharing that? Because I don't
I
see
am.
that.
It's on. It's live. You'll have to see. I don't actually have the update yet, but I've seen some previews. It looks really cool. It changes the dashboard, puts the scanner light on the front of the truck.
That's
Um,
cool.
and they also have a Back to the Future mode that they added that puts a
Oh.
flux capacitor in the back of on the back
Really?
screen. Yeah. So they do some fun stuff. Tesla needs to get on board, start doing some more stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, I'm hoping I hope they do something. They should do something.
They should do something. They don't usually do a Halloween. They do a Christmas or holiday mode.
Yeah.
They do a holiday update that has some new things in it. But Rivian, they're big on Halloween, so they put like a few cool new updates in there. But yeah, we'll check it out. I'll post a video on it later if I ever get the update. I don't know. They're holding it out on me. So, couple of things Wi-Fi related I want to talk about. So, client roaming. So when you have multiple APs in your business or home, you want your client devices to roam to the closest access point as quickly as possible, right?
Right.
But they're not really, the access points themselves aren't really in control of where the client's roaming. It's the client device that really ultimately decides which access point it's going to roam to, if it's going to hold on to an access point that's further away, for a longer period of time.
Yeah, for installation, like I think the systems engineer, the integrator, whoever's putting in this system, right? The one thing that they definitely want to do is have AP placement correct and overlapping of signals, right?
Yeah.
That's the only thing they can really do. That's where they can control things. But like you're saying, the client device makes the ultimate decision, right?
Right. So, you don't want to have too many access points. You don't want to have too few either. And now you want to make sure that if you're on Wi-Fi 7 or 6E that you have full 6 gigahertz coverage if possible. So that means they're moving in closer together.
Yeah. And then you can play around with, I shouldn't say play around with, adjust. Like output power, minimum bit rate, which we talked about, right?
Yeah. So there are things you can do to coax the client device to roam more aggressively, right? In Windows, under Advanced Settings, there is a roaming setting. So if you have a Windows computer, go in your adapter Advanced Settings, there's a roaming aggressiveness setting in there that you can change. If you wanted to roam, I think there's 3 levels: super aggressive, standard, slow. So you can do that on Windows. On Apple devices, you really can't do anything. And I'm kind of noticing some customers that have the new iPhone 16 Pro, with 6 gigahertz, it's like, they still need to push, Apple needs to push some updates, as well as the AP chip manufacturers need to fine tune their side too. But this is also seeming slow to roam. Like I'm seeing it won't go to the 6 gigahertz for a little while. If you move around, away from an access point and then close to one that has 6 gigahertz, it'll eventually switch, but it may take it like 5-10 minutes, right? And so
5
that's
or 10
one thing.
minutes. I don't know about that. Does it take that long?
It could. It really depends.
It feels like it, right?
Yeah, you don't know what's going on with the iPhone. But if let's say you associate right next to a Wi-Fi 7 access point, it'll go to 6 gigahertz right away. Like, that's not a problem.
Yeah.
But as you move away to another one, it's going to see the 2.4 and the 5 gigahertz signal first. And it's gonna jump onto one of those radios, and then it's going to decide, when it's going to switch, or if it's going to switch to the 6 gigahertz radio.
Yeah, like in our office, I implemented a 6 gigahertz only. SSID. So I always make sure that I'm connected to that SSID.
And you have enough.
But
APs?
I do associate to the 5 gigahertz.
Oh, you do. Okay.
Yeah, I'll see it come up. So there's Ingenious Staff, and then there's this I created this a while ago. It's called Wi-Fi 6E, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll flip between those two. But right now I'm looking at it. I'm on 6E right now, so I know I'm on 6 gigahertz.
Yeah.
But it's running on a 5 ECW 536, so it's running 11BE. So
Yeah. It's
I know I'm good
fast.
there. But
It's fast. And we saw, speaking of that, we saw Ingenious push the firmware update out for the ECW 536 this week, and we ran some more speed tests, and it seems like it got a little bit faster. It looked like they improved the multi-band functionality. Multi-link, yeah.
operation.
They improved
Yeah.
the multi-link some more.
Yeah. Yeah, as we have customers running the iPhone 16, right?
Mhm.
I'm running it. There's a couple people in the office that are running it. We're able to fine tune it even more.
Yeah.
So with just our testing, I mean, we've been able to make suggestions, and so yeah, there's been a multiple things that we've added.
To get back to the roaming though, so there's a couple of things you can do. Like, so we can. I'm showing the screen, the radio settings screen in Genius, and so you can you can adjust the bit rate. So the lowest bit rate in 2.4, 802.11b mode is 1 megabits per second, right? Now,
Yep.
some of your devices, you may have IoT devices that need to connect at that speed, so you don't want to toss them off either. But like you said, you could install more access points, right? If you want to have those devices connect at a higher bit rate. I don't know if there's any device that requires 1 megabit that you still have. That's the only rate it'll connect at. There is nothing like that out
Yeah,
there.
while you're talking about it, I'm looking for my Ring doorbell. I'll see what it's connected at. That's probably the slowest.
Yeah.
Slowest anyway.
So the highest.
I do my Ring Spotlight cam is synced up at 1 megabit rate,
So I think other people.
and it's pretty far.
Yeah, other people will see that too. So you may still need those rates even though you think you don't. But what you can do to get your newer devices to roam faster is to move that up from 1 to like 6. I'd say put it in the middle. Put it at like 6 on 2.4. What that's going to do is it's going to shrink the cell size, so that as you're walking around with your iPhone or laptop, it's going to basically not going to be able to connect to that 2.4 as far away. So that if you're at an access point, that's down the hallway, and you're in your office, it's still connected to the office access point, right? By increasing that minimum bit rate, you're going to force it to roam faster to that new access point. And you could get more extreme. You could turn off 2.4 gigahertz on some access points. I know we've done that in the past. That also helps with roaming. You could disable B or G mode. Disable B or G mode, but don't really recommend that because, like you just saw with your Ring Cam, it's still using 11B rates.
Yeah. And just as some more points of reference, right? So my Ring doorbell is synced up at 11 megabit.
Yeah.
On 2.4. The garage door openers are synced up at 65 meg.
65. Okay.
Yeah.
Because you have one in the garage.
They're capable, right?
Yeah.
So you can reduce those cell sizes. Just make sure like your AP placement's right.
Yep.
You're trying to cover like every area that has these devices. But again, back to what you're saying with, like on my network, I have a particular network or SSID for IoT running on one AP. That's, the main area for like most of my IoT devices anyway.
Yeah. So like you said, you could, if you do have a lot of IoT devices, you could dedicate an access point to them, put them on another network in the Genius Cloud, right? And then then you have access to change the radio settings for that network. So you could make that one allow 1 megabit per second, allow 11B, and then for your newer devices that you could even, you don't necessarily want to turn off 2.4 because it aids in roaming as you get further away, unless you have full 6 gig coverage. So those are a couple things you can do. You can also enable some of these protocols like 802.11r enables fast roaming. And I don't know how effective these are. They do something on the AP controller side to try to roam the clients to the most effective AP. And then on Ingenious there's something called client balancing also, which what does that do? That moves the clients to multiple adjoining access points, right? Like tries to distribute them.
Yeah, it tries to. Yeah, exactly. It tries to balance out just like the word,
Yeah.
kind of self-explanatory, but it tries to balance out the clients to AP, right?
Yep.
That's just the main purpose of it, right? You don't want to overload
And that
the
can help
AP.
also.
In most environments, you're not, but I mean, like when you get into where you have hundreds of people,
Yeah.
that is something where you want to probably implement that.
Oh yeah, for sure. So client balancing, if let's say you're in a in a convention hall, you have 3 access points and you have like 1,000 people in there, right? Then you want to make sure that they're not all coming in to the door and associating with the first access point.
And just staying on that access
point. You want
point.
them to distribute between all of them. So yeah, that's the main use of that, but it also aids in fast roaming because on the AP side, it's gonna try to distribute those clients the same way. If you walk in to the front door of your house, you associate to one access point. Then you walk into your office, it's going to be like, hey, I'm gonna distribute these, right? I don't want them all on this front door access point.
Right, exactly.
So it's gonna try to do that in the background. All right, and there's one there's one other thing we were talking about in regards to this too. Let's see.
Yeah, just really quickly on 11R, I think that's something that should be enabled, right?
Yeah.
It's using like pre-authentication and fast association,
right,
to kind of reduce the time to roam, right?
Yeah.
So which is a big benefit.
Yeah.
Like in my network, I don't have to worry about it. My main AP is covering basically the whole house.
Yeah.
Most of the house, I'd say.
So. And like you said before, you can try adjusting the power. I would leave the power at auto, like on the Genius Cloud, like it is in most cases. But if you really want to fine tune it, you can go in and adjust the power per access point or per network, right?
Yeah.
So that's another way you can reduce the power to get clients to roam faster. But I think the better way to do it is the minimum bit rate. That seems to be the consensus. Leave the power alone, but adjust the minimum bit rate, and that's gonna force the clients to associate at that rate at the minimum.
Right. Yep.
All right. Sounds good. All right. So there's a lot to this, but just a couple of ways you can get your clients to roam and not stick to one access point. And again, it's dependent on the device, and we're seeing iPhone 16 may be a little more sticky than others right now, but I'm sure Apple is going to push updates to make it better in the future.